blur dance room. Two familiar silhouettes. No faces. No names spoken. Yet millions felt their hearts break open at the same time. Was it real? Or was it memory moving too fast? It didn't arrive like a scandal. It didn't explode with noise. It appeared quietly. A short clip, low resolution, almost fragile. A practice room, muted music, two figures moving in a rhythm that felt remembered. Within minutes, timelines across continents froze. Not because people wanted proof, but because they were afraid to breathe. For years, the names Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan have lived side by side only in memory, never in motion together. So when this footage surfaced, even without context, it stirred something deeper than excitement. It wasn't about dance. It wasn't about performance. It was about possibility. Fans didn't rush to label it. They didn't demand confirmation. Instead, they sat with the feeling, that quiet ache that returns when a story you thought was over suddenly moves again. Some rewatched the clip in silence. Others turned away, overwhelmed. Many cried, not out of joy but release. Because for the first time in a long while, hope didn't feel forbidden. And suddenly, Weibo Night 2026, once distant and abstract, felt emotionally close. Not announced, not promised, just felt. What makes this moment so powerful is not what the video shows, but what it doesn't. No clear faces, no interaction, no confirmation that the two figures are even who fans think they are. And yet, the emotional response is undeniable. Because the fandom isn't reacting to information. They're reacting to recognition. The way the bodies move, the timing, the spacing. It feels familiar in a way that bypasses logic. But here's the crucial difference this time. Fans are choosing restraint. There's no mass tagging, no aggressive claims, no attempt to force the narrative into truth. Instead, there's a shared understanding. This moment must be handled gently, because the cost of misinterpretation has been learned the hard way. For international fans, especially women who have carried this story quietly, this feels like revisiting a memory without touching it. They're not asking, is this real? They're asking, why does this feel so much? And that question lingers heavier than any answer could. Weibo Night 2026 now carries emotional weight, not because of rumors, but because of resonance. The industry may see coincidence. The fandom sees echoes, and echoes don't need confirmation to be heard. What deepens the impact of this moment is not what is being said, but what remains unsaid. No clarifications arrive. No statements attempt to calm the waves. No official framing appears to guide interpretation. And in a culture where every move is usually explained, this silence feels intentional. Silence creates a pause. And within that pause, emotions begin to speak louder than facts ever could. Fans are not searching for evidence. They're sensing a shift. Because something about this clip, its unfinished quality, its lack of polish, doesn't feel like content meant to be consumed. It feels like a moment that slipped out accidentally. That's why it feels intimate. Practice rooms are not performance spaces. They are where mistakes happen, where exhaustion shows, where timing is still being negotiated. Seeing anything that resembles shared movement in such a space triggers a very specific emotional response, one rooted in vulnerability. And instead of chaos, something unexpected happens. Fans slow down. They remind one another to breathe, to be careful with language, to not turn a feeling into a headline. This isn't restraint born of fear. It's restraint born of understanding. Understanding that once a moment is forced into certainty, it loses its soul. So the fandom protects the silence, not because they know the truth, but because they respect the weight of not knowing. And that choice in itself is powerful. This moment exposes how deeply fandom culture has evolved. Years ago, this kind of clip might have sparked instant division. Debates, accusations, emotional extremes. Now, what we're witnessing is reflection. International fans, especially women who have grown alongside these narratives, recognize this emotional terrain. They know what it means to carry a story quietly, to love something without needing to claim it, to accept that some chapters don't come with endings. That's why the response feels mature, almost tender. People aren't asking for confirmation. They're asking for permission to feel again. Because this isn't about Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan as public figures. It's about what they represent in memory. A time when emotions were raw, when fandom felt immersive and intense, when stories mattered not because they were loud, but because they were lived. The possibility of shared preparation, whether real or symbolic, touches something deeply personal. It mirrors life itself. Moments we don't revisit, but never forget. People we don't walk beside anymore, but still recognize in a crowd. That's why this moment feels heavy in the chest. It's not nostalgia alone. It's recognition. Recognition that growth doesn't erase connection. It transforms it. And if Weibo Night 2026 passes without any visible intersection, fans will still carry this moment with grace. Because they've learned that dignity matters more than spectacle. So what remains now is not expectation, but presence. Presence with emotion. Presence with uncertainty. Presence with a story that refuses to disappear quietly. This clip, whatever its origin, has already shifted something internally for many people. It reminded them that hope doesn't have to be loud to be real. That feeling something deeply doesn't require ownership. That silence can be a form of respect. And maybe that's the most meaningful outcome of all. Because whether Weibo Night 2026 delivers a shared stage or separate spotlights, this moment has already done its work. It reunited people with parts of themselves they thought they had outgrown. It allowed tears without embarrassment. It allowed memory without demand. If nothing happens, the fandom will move forward, not disappointed, but grateful. Grateful for the reminder that stories don't end just because they stop being visible. And if something does happen, even something small, fleeting, understated, it won't feel like a climax. It will feel like acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that what once mattered still does. That growth doesn't negate history. That silence doesn't equal absence. So instead of waiting for answers, perhaps this moment invites a different kind of question. What does it mean to feel something again, without needing it to become anything more? Hold on to that feeling. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories aren't the ones that continue loudly, but the ones that return softly and remind us why they mattered in the first place.